hello, welcome. We had IT departments and infrastructure built into every single government agency, 70 government agencies. And with this bill, we put it all under one agency. And for the first time then, our CIO, the Chief Information Officer, had visibility with all the various contracts and all the places where there were duplicative results and places where there was, you know, more staff that needed to be. And I just cannot begin to tell you how they've come back to me and said, we're saving this, we're saving that. And they have identified millions of dollars. And it will continue to exponentially grow. But we didn't want to stop there. We said, okay, if we could do that with IT, then how about human resources? How about purchasing? And so we decided to do it systematically and strategically. And so last year we passed a bill that said we needed to do a benchmark analysis to compare our costs in each of these different areas to other states and private business. And then based on where we could see where we're outliers, that shows where we have the greatest opportunity for cost reduction. And that report was due in January. I haven't seen it yet. I've called, I've met with the commissioner, there were problems this, problems that, and I still haven't seen the report. And as soon as I get my hands on that report, the next step will be draft additional legislation to then say, now we're going to tackle that area. And we have to do that because yes, there are programs that aren't good and those should be discontinued, but the real savings comes from realigning the way we deliver all of government. And that's a savings that can happen in our MnSCU system, in our higher ed, and all of our institutions. The 50s model of delivering all of government was siloed because we didn't have the same information sharing, so you couldn't share across platforms. It's a different day and age. We should be able to significantly change the way we're organized and therefore costs.
Terry?
Yes, Ben.
My understanding is there's about 80 counties in Minnesota.
89, yeah.
89. Some of them have population as low as 3,000.
Yeah.
We have, if we were to say that each county should have a minimum of 30,000 population, we would reduce the number of counties by 30. That's 30%. And counties were set up in the 1800s so that they would be within a day's drive by horse.
Right.
So, and since then, we haven't changed them at all.
No, you're right, Ben, you're right.
Why aren't we talking about that?
Well, I have been talking about it.
We're going to reduce government. Let's reduce the number of counties.
You're right.
We don't need 89 counties.
Yeah, so Carol McFarland had this thing called the Magic Act, which was beginning to address the inefficiencies in the counties. I actually have been working on it as well. We need to bring that back, and we need to, one of the things I'll tell you is that you try these things and you get so much resistance. And so, for example, I did the shared services with the school districts, and they fought me. I know they're now doing a lot of sharing of services just so that I don't come back and tell them they have to, you know? So I know there's a lot of work being done in the counties to do more shared services, but there's way more distance to go, and you are right. Yeah, exactly, and that's where we find these savings. And our cities are doing it. So Wayzata, Minnetonka, St. Louis Park, they're having shared services agreements, and they're saving tremendous amounts of money, and they're quite proud of it. Yes.
I just want to drift back to the Mall of America.
Okay, let's go back.
That 3%,
yes.
was last July, was it, when you were here? You kind of talked about that tax, and I was just thinking that would be a little more palatable.
Yes.
Because if you look at other states, typically you're paying 6.5%, 7%. But believe me, people come here and shop at the Mall of America. It's just emotional.
Right. Right.
It's emotional that I'm going to the Mall of America, I'm going to buy this stuff, and I don't have to pay tax on it.
Well, that was why I thought the 3% so they could still have that. But
I know tons of people that, we'd have business meetings, and the managers' wives would fly in with them to go to the Mall of America. Why are you going there? Same store. We don't have to pay taxes. So it's an emotional thing.
I hear ya.
Not paying a tax.
Well, I'm going to work on it. Thank you. Thanks. Yes.
Mall of America may indeed have a
Okay.
I didn't believe that a year ago either, like you. But I have a cabin on the North Shore. It's something I discovered over the last year. In fact, if you go up there this weekend, it may change your mind also. Go on top of the hill about the middle of the month. Go through all the shopping malls up there, try to get a parking spot. It's amazing how many of the plates, about 90% of them say Ontario. And I found out why. They come down here to buy clothing in Duluth, paying 8% sales tax. Because it's cheaper for them to do that and buy goods here than it is in Canada.
Well, they have no sales tax in Duluth.
Yes, you're right, no
Yeah.
sales, I mean on the goods though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sales tax, that's why they come down here. If you go to the Salvation, what tipped me off was I went by the Salvation Army deal, and we're clothes packed over the top of the thing.
Wow.
Because the Canadian border got smart. The people used to come down with empty suitcases. So then they were taxing them on the way back. Now they come down with clothes are doing double up.
Oh my
But they
gosh.
did indeed have a legitimate argument.
Isn't that funny?
And that's the other thing too, if you impose a clothing, now I believe in sales tax because I think that's the most fair tax there is.
Yeah. You spend it.
But if
It's
you
a
put it on
choice.
clothing, I could see Duluth getting hurt because I see that. How many plates, and it's every month.
Yeah, well, that's why if we could come up with one where we do tax everything, but do it at a low enough rate so that you can still, in your psyche, think you're getting a competitive advantage. But Senator Russ is gonna have to work with me on this. She's really smart at tax policy. There has to be a way.
So if you tax clothing, not only will you hurt Mall of America, could,
You could hurt Duluth.
and those areas as well.
Yeah, I hear ya.
And I go up there and look for yourself. I
Yeah,
couldn't
no,
believe it till I
that's
seen
great.
it.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
Those people from Canada may be coming for cheaper clothes regardless of the sales tax.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, they have a VAT, I believe, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they do.
And you know, I mean, you look at that, so value-added tax, you go to Europe, you go travel all over, you're traveling, right? And they have the value-added tax, and because it's the most stable, it taxes consumption. So, I wouldn't be surprised if you looked a decade out, if, you know, you were to predict and you'd see, you know, the income tax be way low and the VAT tax be pervasive. We'll see. Yes.
Is it worth talking about the gas tax? I mean, I think we missed the boat, you know, what did we put in there, a nickel or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been a non-event. It was a non-event when it went through. And I think that's another area where the tax, again, relative to other states and so forth, we're not near their sales,
Yes.
their sales tax on gasoline and petroleum. I would rather see it there than elsewhere. Again, that's a consumption tax.
Right. And you know that I was thinking about that, and I thought, what if they asked me how I would vote on a gas tax? You know, I've learned from the Rangers, okay? Because the Rangers, they don't give any vote without getting something for that vote. And so, if they want that vote for me, we get that 494 lane. So, what do you think? Would you agree with that one?
I'd go after it anyway.
I know. I'm teasing you a
Yeah,
little bit,
yeah.
but no, you know, we have such an unmet transportation need. We really do.
There was a time in not distant past where the gas tax went up, or the price of gas went up, and the excuse for it was to slow down the demand. Now, if we put a tax in there instead of money in the refiner's pocket to slow down the demand, I can see the benefit to the community.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and Tom Friedman has on many occasions written in his column that in order to reverse the effects of climate change, we should raise our gas tax very high, because then we will actually lower our our practice of driving our cars, and will demand more transit and all that. But so there is a certain value to adding money to the gas tax. And you know, the governor put forward a proposal to add a 1/4 cent tax for transit for the 7-county metro. So I just want you to know where I stand about that, because I'm a big transit advocate, and I'm a strong proponent of the Southwest Light Rail. But the way that we